your phone?
What's that?
Could you mute your phone?
It is muted.
Oh, okay.
It is muted. See?
checking.
That's why it didn't ring right now. Hello, everyone.
Good morning,
Nicole
everybody.
is in a funk today.
I'm in a mood, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's what our show's about today. Who cares if Nicole's in a mood?
It is
Not
a
this guy.
a mom morning for sure. So that's where I'm at.
Morning for sure. I feel like this is a little crooked, but
As long as it's crooked on your side, it's straight on my side. I don't care.
all right. So we've got a great thing today. You know, the real estate market is still moving at a super, super fast pace, and that is causing an unintended consequence, and that is buyer's remorse.
Yes.
You know, buyers are fighting multiple offers to get these properties. Then they get the property accepted, and then what?
They say, I don't want it anymore.
They want out. They have the inspection. They're like, this GFCI breaker or this switch doesn't work. They're like, whoa, I didn't know that. I'm out. Outlet doesn't work.
It doesn't even sometimes get to inspection right now. 2 days later, they haven't even turned their earnest money yet, and they're like, I want out because they did a grass is greener on the other side and saw a house they want to go see.
Yep, a new house came on the market.
Yep.
By the way, another thing, this is an extra bonus tip. Turn off your, what are they called? The auto prospects.
Yes.
Auto prospecting things.
Do yourself a favor.
Although they're still going to look on they're still going to look on Zillow. They're still going to look everywhere. All that kind of good stuff. So let's get right into it and not keep you guys waiting any longer than you have to on a beautiful Friday like it is today. And then also one more thing, housekeeping to air out is we got in 2 weeks, our GNIA, our local board of realtors are voting. We have our annual meeting and stuff on August 8th, and I recommend that you go there. It'll be awesome.
Okay, sounds good. Isn't the trade expo coming up too?
It's the same day. The trade expo happens before the annual meeting.
Hey, it's the same day. I knew that.
She knew that, everyone, because she goes all the time.
I do go to the
Good morning,
expo
Val.
normally,
Good
but I
morning.
didn't realize it coincided with the meeting, I guess.
All right.
Oops.
Welcome to real estate, Nicole. All right. All right. Our number 5 tip today is remind them. First thing, you know, and this is usually from the buyer's perspective because the seller doesn't get buyer's remorse. Although I have had sellers say like, maybe we underpriced it. Maybe we could have got more for the house. And it's like, hey, you should be happy right now.
Right.
It's good. Okay, remind them that they have an inspector and an appraiser that's also going to be looking out for them. You know, the inspector's job obviously is to find defects and things like that and find out what's going on with the house right the way it is. And then the appraisers to make sure that they're also protecting the buyers and the bank's investment in that property to make sure that it's going to be worth what they're asking for it. So those are some things I try to remind them, you know, especially first-time home buyers. They're a little bit more, you know, they haven't done it before, so they really need us to be their rock to help them get through the process, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's about education and making sure that you are explaining to them in the purchase agreement how important earnest money is, and this is a legal contract, and this is serious. And I literally use buyer's remorse in the earnest money section when I explain it to them, saying, hey, this is how you can get your money back. If you come back to me 2 days from now and say you don't want this house anymore, aka buyer's remorse, the seller can keep your earnest money. So I try to set that expectation up front. It really doesn't have anything to do with number 5, I guess, but that's kind of where I'm going with that. So.
Well, and I would say, gosh, that's a tough one because I would say it's not that simple with earnest money.
Nope.
It's not as simple as if the buyer doesn't buy the house for any reason, the seller gets to keep the earnest money.
I didn't say it gets to keep. I said
Right.
they can keep. So,
but it's weird. We almost can't use that language only because
it says it in the
basically
purchase
only a
agreement.
judge can do that. Right, but the purchase agreement also says the buyer's going to go through with the contract. So if they get buyer's remorse and they choose not to, they're already breaching the purchase agreement, right?
we're going to argue now, aren't we?
We are going to argue, and she's in a mood, and I'm ready, everyone. I'm ready.
So part of the purchase agreement is educating your buyers on what can happen and explaining to them the language of the purchase agreement.
And
that is what I'm doing, is explaining to them the language in the purchase agreement.
The purchase agreement does not say the buyer can lose their earnest money if they don't fulfill the contract. It does not say that anywhere. The buyer actually has to sign a paper forfeiting their earnest money to the seller, which a lot of buyers don't want to do that.
We talk about it in the disbursement section, like both parties have to agree and all that kind of good stuff, but they need to know. What are you doing, Pig? Sneaking out.
Don't break the fourth wall.
I guess, right?
Is it the fourth wall?
I don't know.
Really
But you do have to let the buyers know that it's a potential possibility.
Yeah.
Yes. That's all I'm
think
saying.
I think that is a good thing to bring up, but it also states in there that does not end the seller's recourse. Like, let's say the seller already
we talk about
moved
that.
stuff out and they have legitimate financial it's caused financial loss because of those actions. It opens the buyer up for a potential lawsuit also. I guess that's all I'm saying is it's not as simple as I went out of the contract, here's my earnest money. That's the way earnest money originally was intended. But I will say this, in my opinion, our purchase agreements really protect the buyer and the buyer's earnest money very strongly.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But yes, we do explain the whole court thing too. I guess my whole point is we talk about buyer's remorse, at least I do, in the purchase agreement, so that they're kind of warned, like they think about it a little bit more before they come back 2 days later and say, hey, I don't want the house anymore.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's move on. It is Friday. We gotta wrap this up. So number 4. All right, this is another one. If it's gonna die, let it die. Let it go. Get that house back on the market. Yeah. Get it exposed to new buyers again. If don't be that listing agent that gets all mad and does all. No one wants a deal to fall through. The buyer's agent doesn't want it. The listing agent doesn't want it. The seller doesn't want it. Maybe sometimes the buyer does because they got cold feet. Guess what? Let it go.
It's better to rip the Band-Aid off now than it be
rip it off
3-4 weeks later and it's like a week before closing and you're like, sorry. You know what I mean? Like, it's way better in the beginning than it is to wait that long.
Yeah, I tell all my sellers when we have a deal falling through, it's like, hey, let's get this back on the market. Let's get you under contract again. Right now, it's one of the strongest sellers markets, so I don't think it's as big a deal right now with sellers. But when the market was a strong buyer's market and it was difficult to get a property sold, it was different. We had sellers that would not want to let that go, you know? So sometimes you just got to do it. Don't fight with the other agent. It's, again, neither agent wants a deal to fall through. I mean, closing transactions are ultimately how we feed our families, how we feed ourselves, all that kind of stuff. So, again, be professional. No one, make a bad situation as fast as possible. Like Hansen said in 2019, rip that Band-Aid off as fast as possible. All right. Number 3, clearly go over the inspection paragraph. Go ahead, Hansen. This seems like it's your ballpark.
Yeah, I train my agents to we literally almost read that entire section to the buyers because they need to understand, especially now that it's in black and white, that if there is
what colors was it in before?
Well, I think it's
green.
This year they have more clearly updated the verbiage, where it basically says you must give the seller time to remedy a defect. Before, it wasn't that clear. Yeah. So I like that language in there now because it makes it much easier. And then describing to the buyer what Indiana law dictates is a defect. Those things, going over that inspection section, talking about defects, what they are, all that stuff is very important to set the expectation for when inspection comes around.
It really is. And there's so many agents that don't even know what the inspection paragraph says. And then you have a lot of older school agents like myself who we were around using the Indiana state contracts. We used to use our local board of realtor contracts. And in our contracts, it used to spell out the things that were and were not considered major defects, like examples of those things. Windows not opening freely. What else? There's a whole bunch of stuff. Who cares? Things that are towards the end of their useful life. If it's not defective, it's not defective. So I think there were certain things like that, so an older school agent, when we switched to the new contracts, all that verbiage was taken out of there because a real estate agent does not have the legal capacity to decide what is or isn't a major defect. The thing that irritates me more than anything is when I submit an inspection response and the agent calls me to argue that, whatever I put on there is not a major defect. And it's like, first of all, my client is the one who wants this. I have no dog in the fight as far as what repairs need to be done or something like that. This is what my client asked for. My client signed it. License law dictates you have to present it anyway. So why are you wasting my time and your own time calling me to argue about something that's already been signed? Make it happen. Go present it. Do your job.
I mean, we talk about inspections a lot with the team. I think for most agents, it's probably the one thing that nobody looks forward to in a deal ever is doing your inspection response. It's one of those things where you just kind of have to make yourself do it. Because that's kind of the whole thing, what is the buyer going to interpret as things that need to be done? Is the seller going to agree to them, and you kind of go back and forth on, is it a major defect? Is it not, So, but again, that's up to the buyer to decide, not us. Our job is to guide them, not to choose what their repairs are.
Yep. Be their consultant.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2. This one's very important, and this one, unfortunately, I think is probably one of the biggest violated things that I've ever seen, is watch what you say to the other agent. You know, when you're dealing with something with especially with buyer's remorse, and you know, if you're being your buyer's advocate, fiduciary, you know, if you're doing that,
jinx, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh crap! Now I can't say it for like a year or something like that. That's a tough word for me to say anyway. Fiduciary. I always sound like I've been drinking. Fiduciary responsibility. No, but anyway.
Isn't that Harry Carey?
Yeah, I hope so. I wish I could do that impression. But yeah, you know, be careful what you say, because if you tell the other agent, yeah, my buyer's got cold feet, they want out. If your buyer didn't authorize you to say that in writing, that does open them up to could be some liability. So you have to be very careful what you say about them.
Yep.
You know, be very careful. You know, and then don't encourage a buyer. If a buyer does want to get out of the contract, a lot of times what I like to do is email them or text them that I recommend that they talk to a real estate attorney about that.
Yep.
And that way it's kind of like I've done my job saying, hey, look, this could get you into legal trouble. I think you should at least consult with an attorney. Now, whether they do or not, I don't care. I did my job. I said, hey, you should do this. You're on thin ice. This is what you should do. And then as far as presenting that to the other agent, we have a duty to be truthful to other agents, but we can't tell the other agent that my buyer is doing something that I legally advised him not to do. So then I would just say, hey, look, this is what the buyer, this is what they want repaired. They're not going to repair it. They want out. Here's a mutual release. I mean, there are legitimate ways for a buyer to get out of a purchase agreement that are perfectly normal. They ask for certain undisclosed defects to be corrected. The seller counters that or says no. Then the buyer has a legal opportunity to get out of that contract.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just basically, I mean, we talk about watching what you say to other agents a lot in different episodes, but it comes down to watch what you say to another agent. You always have to be careful of what you're saying. Thinking about our ethics laws and fiduciary responsibility, what are you allowed to tell the other agent? What aren't you? So remember, you know, saying things like, you know, they're worried about their kids and no fence and, you know, and things like that, that could potentially violate, because you're talking about family and things like that. So just watching what you're saying in all aspects of negotiating with the other agent, it's something that's very important. Very important.
Very important. What about number 1, Nicole? Why don't you do it?
Oh, you don't want to do the whole show? Just saying.
I did write the whole show.
Whatever. Remind them of their why, especially with first-time home buyers.
Nicole had to do her hair this morning.
Yeah, I did. It was a bad mom morning, I told you. Anyway.
Why can't I have bad dad mornings?
No, because literally you get to throw that shirt on and wet your hair and walk out the door. Get out of here.
And my kids are at their mom's today.
And I have 2 7-year-olds who one's like, I don't want to get up. I was up till 11 o'clock last night, even though I told you to go to bed. Anyway. So what is their why? Why did they choose this house? Why are they moving? What is the whole point of them buying a home for the first time?
Yeah, remind them of their motivation.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes that helps. You know, if they have a lease that's coming up, you know, they're maybe there's a family situation like one of them are pregnant and they need to get out of a smaller place to get, you know, to have more room, or maybe they're downsizing, maybe they are going through a divorce. Who knows? But remind them of their why, especially with first-time home buyers. I think they are most likely to get buyer's remorse, and a lot of times it's because they're afraid. Fear of the unknown is a legitimate thing. Yes. I think a lot of people don't like to do things that they've never done before. So I think reminding them that, hey, look, you're not alone. You got your real estate agent. I'm going to help you through this transaction. It's going to be a great time. You're going to love it. You're going to be in that new house in 6 months. You're going to be having a great party, probably about your fantastic real estate agent, a great realtor party. I've never been invited to one of those yet.
Imagine
a couple
why.
Housewarmings. Oh, she is mean today.
I know. Just remember, we do this every day for a living. We know the ins and outs of everything, you know, very well. We get paid very well to do our job, and that is why a first-time homebuyer has never been through the process before. They don't understand why they're having to send 800,000 papers to their lender and why they have to schedule an inspection, and all of a sudden all this stuff comes crashing down on them after they get a purchase agreement, and some people tend to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So it's our job to explain the process, how it's going to go, and try to help them get rid of some of that anxiety because they need to know that you have their back. If you kind of reinforce that, a lot of times you can diffuse a situation where they feel like, okay, I have another person in my corner. They're going to help me, whatever it is. I mean, before, like, I had somebody who doesn't know how to fax or scan or whatever. And I'll be like, just bring your docs in. It's fine. We'll send over the lender for you, do all that stuff. I mean, sometimes it's doing that and they're like, oh, okay. Now they feel like, you know, somebody's helping them do things that make them uncomfortable in the first place.
Yeah. Why are you faxing stuff? It's 2019.
Well, they fax stuff to me and then I pick up the fax. We don't even have
If anyone needs Nicole Hansen's pager number, it is 555
8679309.
No, it's Jenny's phone number.
I know, right?
Yeah.
From the block. Jenny from the block.
No, different Jenny.
I know.
Gee,
I always say sayings wrong. Craig,
look at all these references. Yeah. Let's make like a tree and get the heck out of here. It's Friday.
I don't think that's a real one.
It's make like a tree and leave. I was joking. I was making fun of you not knowing a normal saying. I think they did that in Back to the Future though, so I stole that from Biff, I believe.
You would steal a line from Biff, is all I have to say.
Stealing lines from Biff all day long. All right, everyone have a great week. Thank you for watching.
Where's your DeLorean?
I wish I had a DeLorean. I left
Do
it.
you?
I left it in the 80s. Yeah, why not? Sure.
I've seen somebody with the
I mean,
cars,
it's not like one of my top wishes.
like the doors that go up like this. Like,
yeah, Falcon doors?
Yeah, like you have to wait to get into the car. Like, I don't
Tesla
understand.
has that.
They do, but
Yeah, but you don't have to open the door like a caveman anymore. You know, you just push a button and wait for it to go up for you.
You gotta wait 10 minutes for the door to go all the way up just to get in the driver's seat?
Yep. I bask in that glory for 10 minutes. So yeah, look at my cool doors.
That must be a man thing.
I don't know. I don't have one of those.
Just saying.
All right. So, thanks everyone again. We're doing the goodbye thing, and then you just brought it back.
That's okay.
Okay.
All
right. Anyway, thanks
He's
everyone.
trying to get off.
Yep.
That's up.